for something so serious. But the guy reassured, the fellow in charge of Chemainus, I guess hospital at the time, said, "Look, Duncan is good, and there's the fellow there. He's also a client of Paul's."
He said I'd have him
trust him with my
do surgery on my
wife's life. He said.
Yeah. So anyway, I go there. I'm in this place. They've done whatever they were going to do to my foot with operation, and I was on morphine. And the guy next to me was a real joker. He was full of cracking jokes all day long, and he was a nice chap, But anyway, after about 4 or 5 days there, his daughter comes in to visit him, and while she was there, we were chatting away, and so she's a nurse. She was a nurse at the General Hospital in Vancouver.
Can you believe it?
So she looks at my chart at the end of the bed, and she says, "Paul, when you go to Vancouver, do me a favour. Look up this surgeon called Dr. O'Brien. He's he's a top general. He's a top surgeon in Canada. Orthopedic. Okay. Just look him up, And so I thought, well, why? What's the problem?
Exactly.
No, just look him up, kind of thing,
She didn't want to say anything. She didn't want to offer a professional opinion.
I guess
she didn't want to do anything.
No.
So then, as she was leaving at the end of the day, she stopped at the door and looked back at me and said, "Don't forget, Paul. Check Dr. O'Brien out." So I thought to myself,
"Yeah, it's quite something."
But it stuck in my mind anyway,
Yeah.
So anyway, after that, we got back.
Well, first of all, because I don't drive, and the Huddocks, they said, okay, the kids going back to school. We couldn't hang around Duncan, so without being able to drive and everything. So he said, "I'll drive you guys back." And Paul's fine, and I talked to him, a few times in the day. And he was on morphine, so he seemed to be doing fine. I mean, we put all our faith in these doctors, thinking that they're top professionals. They know what they're doing. Yeah. And then 1 week later,
1 week later, he drives my car with me back to Vancouver. Okay. So I'm in a wheelchair. So we get out, he gets me into the apartment. About a few days later, I go to see my doctor, and because he's got to take this big cast off my leg and everything off my foot. Yeah. And I go in to see him, and I said, "Doctor, could I have I'd like to have a second opinion to meet with this orthopedic surgeon, Dr. O'Brien." Yeah. And he said, "Well, yeah, okay, sure, if you want to, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I didn't think any problem.
I can take the cast off, but yeah, sure, if you want to see him, that's okay, go see him." So he got me an appointment a couple of days later. So I went there, and
you go at 8 in the morning.
8 in the morning, I go in. And he says, "Well, we'll have to x-ray and look at it." I got the appointment. And he looks at it and everything. And then he comes to me in the room where I am, and he says, "You're not leaving the hospital. I won't operate on you tomorrow morning."
Tomorrow morning, yeah.
He said, "If I leave you like this, you'll be a cripple for the rest of your life."
What?
Yeah, I said, "What?"
Yeah, didn't even know
kidding me?
anything about this.
He said, "No." He said, "All they've done is they've thrown out about 40 bones, packed it up."
Unbelievable.
And he said, "You'll have a club foot, and it won't be able to move. You'll have no movement at all. From your ankle, no movement, nothing." He said, "What I'm going to do is, he's got to put a metal plate all around my heel, because there's no heel there. It's like a bag of bones." Yeah. So he he put a metal plate there, and like railway crossings all the way down my foot with bars and pins. So I've got 4 big bars down my foot and a heel plate.
But they're titanium, so they don't buzz at the airport.
You still got them or not?
Luckily.
Always.
They would never come out.
You can't do without them.
And
wow.
Would you believe my foot has been amazing? I mean, I can't jog or do anything like that. But I mean, I've never had a problem since.
Because Dr. O'Brien, first of all, when you're at the hospital, you said, "Hey, there's some sort of aura around this guy." Even the nurses, I mean, there's something
like the
special.
hero worshipping him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we find out later that he is the most famous in all of Canada orthopedic surgeon. I mean, how fortunate.
And did you ever get back in touch with this daughter or this guy?
Yeah, funnily enough, we didn't have any address or anything. But Joanne was doing an art show.
A few years later
in a mall.
Yeah.
And she comes up and says to Joanne, what did she say? "Oh, did you get to see?"
She said, My father shared a room in Duncan, well, immediately when she said,
Did your
I said, "Oh, you're our guardian
Yeah.
angel. We talk about you all the time. Without you and Dr. O'Brien, that made it possible for Paul to have a normal life." And I just had the World United. I told you I had some of the posters left.
Gave her a poster.
And it was a little framed one. And I just said, "Oh, please take this. I'd like to give you something bigger." Or what? And it was just like in Duncan, as fast as she came there, she left.
Disappeared again.
Yeah, she just left. And in those days, we still didn't have the emails, and she just said, "Happy to hear," and she was gone.
That's right.
Wow.
Amazing. Forever grateful.
So that was
that
was a blessing. I was on crutches for a year.
1 year, yeah.
And then I had to also have.
Yes,
oh yeah, bad. I couldn't put any weight on it.
So you weren't
That's
driving.
I had to have,
you're the only driver.
No, I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't drive for 3 weeks. I couldn't drive.
Okay.
But we do leave for Europe, so we will get to his handicap at the time.
Well, I got this commission to work for.
Now you've got your commission.
Commission for Air Canada that I got before I went to hospital, and then I asked them if I couldn't paint with my leg. I had to have my leg up above my heart for like weeks, right, to stop the blood going down to my foot. So I had to paint this commission for them, and I asked them if they could put it off for a few weeks, and they said, no, we've got to have it. The Pacific family, we've got to have them painting. So I ended up painting it on my back with the painting above me, just like a fresco. Yeah,
really?
Just like Michelangelo did his painting.
What?
Upside down.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to lie on my back.
And then we had the Air Canada entourage all dressed up. And
they all came in. And I'm lying there with my foot above my head, nearly.
Where were you? You were at home? You were in your studio doing this?
At home painting it, I had to paint it at home,
The Pacific family, which they wanted for their magazine. Yeah. And it's all the places they stop off on the Pacific side from Fiji.
They wanted to give us free flights, plus money, free flights to Fiji.
Yeah, well, so they call up and they first say, "Hi, Paul, we'd like him to do the Pacific family and explain everything." And sure. Yeah. And how about 2 tickets to Fiji? So I said, "Look, I'll call you back in a half hour." Yeah, are they crazy? So I say to Paul, "Come on, that's okay." So I call them back and I say, "Okay, $3,000, and I want 4 flights." Because that's when we were going to go to, Europe,
that's
right?
Yeah.
I mean, not Europe, but for the year, for school. So I said, I want 4 tickets return, open for 1 year, Vancouver, Paris. And they say, okay. Actually, they didn't squabble or anything.
Costs them nothing, does it?
That's fine. It costs them nothing, that. Yeah. And of course, they got to pay $3,000.
Except they had to be Amsterdam because their flight was KLM. Was going to Amsterdam.
Yeah, they said the only thing...
Not in those days, they didn't have a direct flight to Paris from here.
Yeah, it's funny that. But so they said, and in the end, we're very fortunate.
In the end,
Amsterdam,
it was great because
this
we
was
love
wonderful.
Amsterdam. And we spent many times there now, twice a year for 7 years.
Because Amsterdam
would
suit you.
We had VIP...
Oh my God!
For luggage, anyways. We didn't have first class.
Unlimited amount of luggage we could take, evidently.
13 pieces.
13 suitcases we left with me on crutches. Yeah. And
I had nothing but
ended
help.
up the best help you've ever had. I went through customs and everything on a little cart. We were driven through, escorted through passport control. Coming out the other end, we came out, no problem. Luggage was all handled by these guys.
Yeah, it's really
Talk
great.
about, I think I would have, I'm going to pretend I broke my leg every year, I think.
So you were travelling, you're travelling like rock stars, with all the entourage.
Absolutely.
Well, that was for a whole year, so... We had to have the doo-doos, and we had to have the Spanish books and the guitars and all the things that
that's
children
really a good deal, wasn't it? Right? You did an excellent negotiation.
I still couldn't walk, mind you. I still couldn't walk, so I had
That'll be the next episode.
Ended up buying a boat bike.
And on the way over, your painting was it on the magazine at that time, in the plane?
Yes, that's right. It was in the magazine. Canada magazine.
Yeah, but it's for the trips going to the Pacific.
That's right.
That's
why they go in the other direction.
What is it? Indonesia.
That's the Fiji connection. Gotcha.
All the Pacific. Yeah.
So going back to the accident, what was the outcome, and what how did that happen? Any ideas? What was the?
Yeah. Oh yes. The ladder had been left out in the open air, close to the water, of course, sea. The sea was evidently it had perished. The aluminum, they've got steel boats going through aluminum, and that combination corrodes the aluminum.
Okay.
Because they can't handle, that's what happened. And it just perished. And just me on the ladder, it would have gone at some point. It just happened to go right then.
20 feet, it's about what? It's about...
Terrible,
they took the responsibility.
That's like 7 meters. It's about 7 meters.
Yeah, close to 6 meters.
2.5 stories high or something like that. That's quite a lot, yeah.
Well, actually, it's like 2 floors of a building. Yeah,
the top of the second floor. That's pretty horrible, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everything's luck in life, you know. People say, like I have this new guy from Russia, right, with a surrealistic site, right, where some of Paul's works on. And I said something, good luck with your new project. And he writes back, I don't believe in luck. Well, you know what? I do. I sure do. You know, it's just
lucky. I was very lucky because if I had not leaped off that ladder, I'd have gone down and those parts could have spiked me. You know what I mean? Not only landing on concrete, but landing on a ladder and concrete.
If you hit your head, that's
it could have turned me around the other direction.
And you'd be done.
So I just quickly leaped off it. I thought I could make it to the scaffolding. Then I would have been able to grab on and be okay, but just couldn't. My fingers just nearly got to touch the damn thing.
And that's what I always imagined Paul, like a monkey. He would be swinging there.
I would have done it, except as I leaped, the ladder went the other way. You know what I mean? My legs kicked the ladder backwards as I tried to get a hold of
basic physics. Yeah,
basic
unfortunately.
That's about it.
Tala wanted me to ask, leading on from that, it's perfect segue into. She wanted to cover a little conversation about the physical nature of painting and how, it's interesting with you, Paul, because you're very fast. And you're also you're also an you also were a gymnast and a rock climber, and you've done some physical paintings like the murals. She wanted to ask if you perhaps you could talk a bit about what it's like, because you do pretty much a full day of painting most days, and
I never sit down.
And you never sit down.
Painting all the time. Never sit down.
I know you're not tired.
Only have a cup of tea with Joanne, but
Nope,
never get tired painting.
Never get tired.
My legs don't even get tired.
Really?
I mean, we walk every day, about 2 miles anyway. We walk all the time. Every morning we go around the lake. In the afternoon we walk to the beach. So we're always walking a lot. But it's not that. Standing, it seems like, they say in the Basque country, I've got Basque legs, because all the Basque sheep herders walk miles and miles every day. All my family walk. They've all got legs that are good legs. So maybe I've inherited their legs.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But I stand because for me, I need to get away from the painting to look at it. I can't sit and paint. I've never in my life sat and painted. So I always stand. And that way, I get a different perspective on what I'm doing as well, because I can walk away quickly and look at it and see where the dimensions and everything are there. So it's a physical thing as well, standing. Yeah. But also, even with my arm movement, I mean, stretching canvas.
You get a lot.
I'm on the floor
exercise.
today. Today actually, believe it or not, I was a little
exhausted.
Not exhausted. Well, when I'm working, I work fast. So I did this painting in an hour and a half, but it was non-stop movement, non-stop bending.
You get all that
exercise.
You're so lucky.
And all of that movement is like a workout. Honest to God, it was like today was more like a workout than normal, because this was a very big painting I'm working on.
Possibly it's people want gyms and stuff like that. They're always trying to work out what the right kind of exercise is, and they often say that sitting is the worst thing for you. So it's probably
Oh God, yeah,
it's
the
probably the
worst,
best
yeah.
thing is to be standing up.